Okay, Chevra, Shalom Uvracha, Shavua Tov. We are a new week of Reb Nachman, a new week of Torah, and let's just jump right in. The prophet Yeshayahu, the prophet Isaiah the prophet, like that's what they say, like Ezekiel, Isaiah. So we say Yeshayahu, Nun Tesvav, 59, verse 15. Says that in the days of Moshiach, the truth will be nederet. Who knows what nederet means?
Wonderful.
It means rare, absent, gone, missing. That in the days of Mashiach, the truth, this means as we get ready for the days of Mashiach, the prophet says the truth will be absent, will be nederet, will be missing, will be hard to find. So the Gemara says on that in Sanhedrin, Tzadi Zayin Amid Aleph, that's code for 97a, says Nederet comes from the word Edel. The same letters, Nederet is Ayin Daled Reish, and Eder, anyone know what an Eder means? It means a flock. In the days of Mashiach, in the footsteps leading up to Mashiach, the truth will be divided into flocks. Just like you have this flock is in this area, this flock of sheep is in this area, this flock of sheep is in this area. In the days leading up to Mashiach, the truth will be divided up into flocks, and each one of the flocks will claim that they have the truth, the entire truth and nothing but the truth, that they have exclusivity towards what truth is all about. And that's very interesting, that there'll be such a feeling like the whole truth is there. Now, one of the things we mentioned about Mashiach is he's going to be a master at creating dialogue, at people being able to talk to each other to find truth, to find what's really real in this world. And there'll be a common language that it won't be fighting each other anymore, like my truth and your truth. They'll be able to have dialogue and they'll come to the truth, because the truth is something interesting, which is that there is one truth. Reb Nachman used an example. He says, imagine I have a silver goblet that I'm holding in my hand. So what's the truth? This is a silver goblet, right? If I come and tell you, hey guys, you know what this is? A gold goblet. Am I lying? Yeah, that's not the truth. Now, it's interesting about there's only one truth. It's a silver goblet. But how many falsehoods are there? Almost infinite. It could be a gold goblet. I could tell you it is. I could tell you that it's gold, but it's just coated in silver. I could tell you that it's a copper goblet. I could tell you that it's made out of plastic. I could tell you that it's made out of Play-Doh. I could tell you that it's made out of silly putty. There's many things I could tell you that it is. There's only one reality. This is a silver goblet. And through the dialogue, emes we're going to learn is called one. Emes is one. Emes is reality. Emes is self-evident. Emes, like we explained, goes all the way through. Emes, it's still here, continues. Emes is something that's aleph, mem, sod. It goes all the way through. It's eternal. Sheker, like we explained, falls down. The shin, the kuf, and the reish, it falls down. Lies have a way of becoming uncovered. A person gets caught up in lies, you get caught. You never are able to lie forever. The lies will always be uncovered. There'll always be some camera that'll catch a person. And even if a person says, I got away with it. So like we said from the King David, from Shlomo HaMelech, that B'kol Makom Einei Hashem, like the president tweeted, and it's true, it was from somebody else, it was a retweet, but for 90 million plus people to see, that pasuk from Mishlei is a very chashuv thing. The eyes of Hashem are in all places, and they see the good and the bad. Meaning God sees everything. So the truth will become known. The truth is eternal. Now, one thing that people really enjoy about coming to yeshiva is, have you guys not noticed that when you come here, people are really willing to talk about anything? There's so many cases of people who were out in the world and they got involved in different things, and when they started asking a few difficult questions, you know what the answer was? No, stop asking those questions. We don't talk about those things. Please don't look behind the curtain, like Oz or something, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. No, I'm paying attention to that man behind the curtain because I think there's a hoax going on here, right? And all of a sudden, you come here and you ask really difficult questions, and what do people tell you? We don't talk about that thing over here. Moving on, please. Just keep going this way. Just keep, like some conveyor belt, just turning you into something, and then all of a sudden the tzitzis and the strings and the whole thing, right? Boom, sealed, kippah, from, married, kids, me'asharim, done. Do you think that's what it is? No. There's something very refreshing that when you come to yeshiva, you might ask a very difficult question, and you know what? The rabbis will tell you, say, that's a really good question. Let's talk about it. What do you mean? Like, I'm allowed to ask that? Are you sure? Everyone else always said, like, don't ask that one. Or no, we don't talk about that one. And all of a sudden you come here and all we want to do is have that honest conversation to come and find the truth together. And someone will tell you, if they don't know the answer, they'll say, let me go ask my Rebbe. And then my Rebbe. And then we'll be able to trace it back. It's a very honest place of asking and coming to truth. It's just that in itself has a certain authenticity of that anything goes. We will talk about anything, and that's the power of truth, is you're not afraid. Like maybe he's going to find something out. The world of lies is afraid to be uncovered. The world of shekers better not ask those questions like, we're going to get caught. So we have to conceal, we have to limit, we have to censor everything that you want to talk about because maybe we're going to get caught. In the world of truth, it's an open conversation. And I think people find, and anyone who's around the world right now, I want to invite you to the yeshiva, to come learn and ask those difficult questions. Because in the world of truth, it's all about conversation. It's all about, you are welcome to speak your mind and speak of what's on your heart. There's something very authentic about that. So Rabbi Nachman is going to take us through a very, very beautiful piece here. And I just want to see this piece. And again, anytime that we see things inside, it seems like, we're reading a bunch of, words with all these little squiggly letters here. They're not squiggly, it's just Hebrew. And they are squiggly, but it's the original text. And it's a good thing because the more that you learn the original language, the more authentic that you can speak the language of the Torah, the more you'll be able to pierce in to the inner core of truth, because the Torah is Hebrew. So I want to know it, and I want you guys to know it in Hebrew. So I want you to open up to a Torah that Reb Nachman's going to talk about truth. And he's going to talk about something very profound about truth. It's in the first book, Torah Samech Vav. Samech Vav means 66. I'll let everyone get the spot. Torah 66 and then Gimel. In the first book, not in Tinyana. Tinyana is the whole second half of Likutei Moharan. The first half. If it says Tinyana at the top of your Rebbe Nachman, it means that you're in the wrong area. So the first book, which just said Likutei Moharan, and then you'll see Samech Vav. That's the place we're up to. Okay, and then this is a long piece. The way that Likutei Moharan is structured, it's a lot of Torahs. And they're all called special numbers. Special letters, which is a gematria for numbers. So just have to get that rhythm. If I say Samech Vav, Torah Samech Vav, then let me go to Samech Vav. I say Torah Aleph, it means the first Torah. If I say Torah Beis, it means the second Torah. If I say Torah Aleph in Tinyana, it means the second book, Reb Nachman, the first Torah. If I say Reish Pei Beis, which is the code, then it means Torah Reish Pei Beis. Okay, so you want to get into this rhythm. I don't mean the page number. That's important because there's different editions. I mean the number of the Torah. And then we usually quote the first line of the Torah also at the top. This one's called Vayihi na pi shnayim beruchocha. So look in Gimel. Gimel means part 3. This is going to be a longer piece. But I want us to really get this piece. It's very profound. It's all about truth. There's something called taking something from potential into actual. I might have something that's in potential. I might really like this girl. I might really want to ask her on a date, but I never do it. So potentially I like, in potential, there's all the makings there to have a wonderful date, but if I never say the words, can I take you for a coffee? So then it just remains in potential and never comes into actual. And that's with all of life. There's things that you have in potential. Generally, those are in your mind. And only once you could verbalize them does it start to come into actual. There's many things you might have been thought about when you woke up in the morning today. You're lying in your bed, and you thought about one of a million different things that you could do. But how many of them did you actually do? There's all the potential there, but for something to come from potential into actual, Reb Nachman says the real way to take things from potential to actual, hu ali de shleimus hadibur, is through proper speech. Now I want to tell you something. Generally, Rabbi Nachman will start each part of a Torah with like a line that just makes a very bold statement, and you sort of think like, wow, interesting statement, cryptic, mystical, strange, don't quite understand it. And then he'll spend the rest of the Torah explaining and decoding what he means. So this will be no different. And in order to take things from potential to actual, I'll give you another clue. Something that's still in potential is called Mashiach. We want to bring Mashiach into actual, meaning the Messianic era. So in order to bridge Mashiach in potential towards Mashiach actually being here, is going to be something called Shleimus HaDibur, learning how to speak properly. Let's see what Reb Nachman means. Let's go on this journey together, my friends. The letters of speech need to also be complete. This will happen through the qualities called the world to come, or the world of Mashiach. Meaning, there's something called the world of Mashiach. There's something called this world that is coming. We're going to talk a lot more about this in upcoming shiurim as we transition out of the Mashiach shiurim into the resurrection of the dead and the world to come and all that fun stuff as well. There's something called the concepts that will exist during the world to come. And complete speech is something that will be completely present in the world to come. And we want to essentially bring those qualities now into the world. So let's go into this. The concepts, when Moshiach comes, will complete the way we speak. Meaning, in the times of Moshiach, he's going to teach us a lot about, like we mentioned, conversation and being able to communicate properly, having perfected relationships and communication, actually listening to each other, not just talking at each other, like we talked about last time. When the guy's talking, you're just like already trying to, slug him up. If anyone doesn't know what that means, it's yeshivish for just like, slug him up. How do you translate that? One up him, excellent. Just to one up the guy, and just one up you. That's an excellent definition, by the way. We say slug him up, like Tyson. Did he win? Drop. Teku. He's 56. The guy's still boxing. At this point, he should be just like learning Torah, basically. But I guess he's still boxing, and I'm sure he made some royalties out of the deal. But okay, I'll call upon him. So, in the times of Mashiach, he's going to teach everybody about conversation, and only then will all the conversation be perfected. But we want to draw some of that messianic conversation into now. Ki afilu ha'okum yikrosh Hashem yisboach im hadibur. The whole world, all of humanity, when Mashiach comes, will know the secrets of speech. The entire world. Even those that seem to pervert speech, excuse my language, and even those who seem to make all of their speech is just one-upping the other guy and putting down somebody else, and most of speech is just lashon hara rechilas. It's horrible. It's horrible. Total just taking speech and throwing it into the garbage can. and using speech in a horrible way just to put people down, and your sports team, is horrible, and I'm being very clean with my language right now, and your mama this, and all this stuff, right? That was like the jokes back in the schoolyard. Like, everything was your mama. What are you making such problems with my mother? What's wrong with you? Yeah, okay, people have dirty speech. It's a problem. When Moshiach comes, the entire world will speak in a holy, beautiful way, in a covered way, which means an honorable way, a sensitive way, a sweet way. One of the secrets that we talk about when Moshiach comes is, anyone who's ever been to a wedding, a Torah wedding, an Orthodox wedding, so what's the main song we sing? So listen to those words. Od Yeshama, in a moment, in one more moment, Yesham ba'ar Yehuda. They're going to hear in the cities of Yehuda, v'chutzais Yerushalayim, and in the courtyards of Yerushalayim. What are they going to? What's everyone going to hear all of a sudden? It's time about Mashiach coming. What are they going to hear? Kol sasam the kol simcha. They're going to hear the voice of sasam, of happiness that you're achieving, the simcha, happiness that you're expecting and yearning for. Kol chatan v'kol kala. The voice of the bride and the groom. What does it mean we're all going to hear the voice of the bride and the groom when Moshiach comes? What does that mean? We sing it. We love singing it. Things are getting lit up when that song starts kicking, when the beat drops on the Kol Sas and the Kol Simcha. What does that mean that when Moshiach comes, we're all going to be singing this, we're all going to hear the voice of the bride and the groom? So how does a bride and groom speak? Do they speak, oh, yo, that recipe that your mom made us, horrible. Are you nuts? Never they would speak like that. How do a bride and groom speak to each other when they just are getting married? They speak so soft, so beautifully. They're so sweet to each other, right? It's so nice that you're just getting married. You're about to build a beautiful home together. How do they speak to each other underneath the chuppah? With yearning and desire and honesty and depth. So it means that when Mashiach comes, everybody's going to speak to each other like a bride and groom speak to each other. With sensitivity and sweetness and real openness and listening to each other, trying to grow together. And just like we say that when a person, in the times to come, it's going to be like a wedding. It's going to be like this wedding, and everyone's going to be speaking like a bride and groom. It must mean if in the times to come it's like a wedding, so reverse engineer, then when you go to a wedding now, it's like the time to come. It's like Mashiach. That's why people like going to a wedding so much, because there's a feeling of like, it's a messianic vibe, and it is. There's a good vibes. You go to a Yiddish wedding, you're like, these guys in suits? I thought they were just a bunch of suits. These guys are backflipping and jumping and going nuts over here. It's crazy. Rabbi Rossman's going crazy. Rabbi Willie's jumping over everybody. It's big stuff, my friend. They're juggling fire and stuff. I think I just knew how to learn books. There's much more, don't worry. The books, they come alive at a wedding. So, in the times of Mashiach, it's all going to be this sweetness, this conversation. Just like a new bride and groom. Ki afilu ha'akum, ki oz epoich, and we're quoting now from the prophet Sfanya. Ki oz epoich, Eloamim sofa verura. This is such a beautiful line. In the time to come, Oz, the entire world will speak with a clear tongue, a clear language. Everyone will speak clearly. Likroy kulam b'shem Hashem. What is every member of humanity going to be speaking about when the Mashiach comes? Hashem. That's the only conversation there's going to be. It doesn't mean that you're going to walk around like this, Hashem, 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 Hashem. How you doing today? Hashem, Hashem, Hashem. That's just weird and annoying. And it will not look like that. It just means that when you talk to somebody, there's going to be a consciousness that Hashem is there. Which means even now, when you talk to your friend, you're speaking to him, but you're speaking to him and you're aware of the godliness that's inside of him. You're aware of Hashem in this moment. You speak to your wife. You're not just speaking to the body that is her. You're not just looking into her eyes, which you obviously are. You're seeing her soul. You're seeing that her soul is a part of God. You're seeing the entirety that Hashem is in this moment. All the conversation will include Hashem. All the conversation will have the energy of God coursing through it. So that's what's coming. And the entire world is going to be talking about it. Doesn't mean people are going to stop going to work. Doesn't mean people are going to stop having normal relationships. They are. But every part of the relationship, every part of the communication is going to be filled with a godly feeling, with a godly energy. It's going to course through our lives. So people will still have regular lives. We're going to see there's going to be a lot of miraculous things happening. But it's going to be filled with God consciousness. That's very exciting. That's very exciting. Nimtza, Shir Hadibur Shleimus. And then we see from here that when Moshiach comes, that's what it means, that speech will be complete. You see from Reb Nachman, what does it mean, complete speech? That it includes God. Now, obviously, that's going to mean all the curse words, who's going to be talking about that, and all the forbidden things are not going to be part of our life. But it means normal relationships and conversation and going to work. We're all going to have those things, but it's going to be with Hashem. It's going to include Hashem. Now our speech, there's sometimes that I speak about Hashem, sometimes not. When Moshiach comes, the truth, as we're going to see, that's going to emerge, as every part of our speech is going to include Hashem. Rabbi, so we're going to continue this piece tomorrow, so come right away with this piece. B'siyat l'shmai, we should be zoyach hamamish to see this true speech of Moshiach Comes from here. Amen. A wonderful afternoon, everyone.